It has been a long time since there's been this much action during a select board race in Bennington. One sad note in all this, of course, is the absence of one name, a name of the current chairperson of the Bennington Select Board, Lodi Colvin, who has decided not to run for re-election to the board this year. As an attendant of select board meetings for over 40 years, I can honestly say that Mrs. Colvin was one of the finest, if not the best chair of that board that we have witnessed. Our job is to choose whom we think can be the most effective. It's an interesting and exciting race, and all we have to do is vote. So let's do it, and let's make it a big one. This is Bob Harrington.
Joining us in the studio today, Michael Harrington, candidate for Bennington Select Board.
My involvement, I left Bennington when I went away to school, and I came back to Bennington about 2.5 years ago. One of the main reasons I came back to Bennington was because I wanted to become engaged in a community. At that time, the select board wasn't on my radar. For me, getting involvement, volunteering, and just becoming a part of the community, because I didn't have that at the last place I was at. So part of that has been out there connecting with different people, talking with different people, getting their insight in terms of the best ways to get forward. My slogan throughout this campaign has been the fact that Bennington has a strong past. It has a very strong and proud past, and a very vibrant and high potential future. And so how do we recognize the past that we have? How do we sit there and say, what are the pieces we want to keep intact? What are the things we want to hold on to that we're proud of, over the past however many decades? What do we want ourselves to look like when we get into the future? I'm not for changing the view of Bennington in terms of changing the overall architecture of Bennington. But at the same time, what are those things we need to do to keep ourselves competitive in the world market, in the world economy? So for me, it's all about having a vision and making sure whatever decision we make as a select board, the focus is always on that vision, that when we make X decision, it's going to impact. I don't think anybody wants us to go backwards. People want us to go forwards. You talk about what my role is in terms of moving the select board forward so that we are increasing jobs. My vision for that in terms of, do we make it easy to be a business in Bennington? I don't know if we do or not. I know, I work for my family's, it's a small family business in North Bennington. It's not easy to be your own business in Vermont. So what are we doing in Bennington to make that as easy as possible? Some of those are outside our control. Some of that deals with the state and the federal government, and we don't have the ability to have a direct impact. However, with that being said, we do have the ability, I think, as a select board to represent our community. Not at the select board meetings, but as a select board, how do we impact the decisions that our legislature makes? How do we impact those in Montpelier? Do we have an open communication line with them? Are we talking with them on a regular basis? We have a lot of great people in Montpelier and a lot of great people from Bennington, so how are we including them in the conversation instead of removing them from the conversation?
Commercial space. We don't. We actually have a surplus of commercial space available, which you can also find in some of the reading I've done, especially from the Planning Commission. There's a surplus of commercial space in Bennington. There is not a surplus of industrial space.
Right, we're almost out of time here, speaking of time. If someone wants to learn more about you, contact you, support,
voiceforbennington.com, or they can contact me by phone, 802-448-0447.